What is up, guys, and welcome to another Spotify/video. The Knicks beat the Denver Nuggets and they blow them out. This was an actual whooping. This was a whooping, and I love it. I'm not going crazy about it because I'm tired. But 122-84 is a W for the New York Knicks. Um, but my thing is, I'm gonna go through my notes. And I think there's more than just a blowout. So I'm going to go through it. So my pregame was Jalen Brunson not being an all-star starter. Yo, I put in my notes to do a rant. I'm so tired. But there's no reason why Jalen Brunson can't be an all-star starter. I don't understand that. Yes, I understand. Oh, Knicks fans need to be voting, but the only people who are voting are Knicks fans. Damian Lillard is such a household name that the casual NBA fan is probably clicking on that voting thing and voting Dame Lillard. No one is voting Jalen Brunson if you are a casual fan. That's it. That's it. That's it. It's not like the Knicks fans aren't voting. I voted all the time, but it's because the casual fans, and there's way more casual fans than you think of the NBA, will vote for um a Damian Lillard. And there's no shame being a casual fan, but the fans who just maybe they watch like a national televised game, or it's a big name. Damian Lillard's a big name. Hey, we learned it today. It's a big name. Damian Lillard's a big name. Even though he played with the Portland Trailblazers, he's still a big freaking name. He's still somebody that's gonna go down as one of the biggest names in the NBA. So yeah, that's kind of my rant. I know it's terrible, but I'm gonna work on it. I'm just tired right now, so that's all I can give you for the rant, and that's the only thing I could say because it's hard to defend this because the fans' votes weren't good. But I'm gonna try to back that up and say the Knicks fans are voting, but nobody else but the Knicks fans are voting. So the Knicks fans are carrying the votes, but it's only so much. I know it's like, oh, the Knicks have a big market, but if no one else is voting, then why does that matter? So LA is also a big market, but no one from LA is voting, I guess. So I just don't understand that. Um, so there was there's no iHeart to guard Jokic, which didn't matter because Jericho Sims is one of the greatest players of all time. But it's fun. I mean, I like the challenge for Jericho. Definitely one of his biggest challenges in the league, probably his biggest so far, is guarding Nikola Jokic. Same with Precious. He probably guarded some Embiid a little bit, so that's a big challenge. But he can do it. They both can do it, and I think that just speaks to how I don't even want to say because I just hate it on depth, but it's still super good. Like having Mitch having Mitch Hartenstein, Precious, and Sims as your four bigs, that's so anybody would want one of those bigs. Anybody would be wanting to have one of those bigs. OG switching on to Jokic, which was one of my biggest things to look at. He didn't really do that as much, but it didn't really matter because we were just winning by so much. The Knicks were just winning by so much, but I was looking for that. I mean, if the Knicks play the Denver Nuggets later, then I'll talk about that. But OG switching on to Jokic was something I was looking forward to, but never really happened. But my biggest thing was to contain the role players for Denver, and let's look at the Knicks did that because you would look at this and say the Knicks won 84 to 122, but did the Knicks contain the role players? This is no shot at KCP, but he's a role player and he shouldn't have 12 points or 15 points. Like that should not happen. And Michael Porter Jr. 5 points. Aaron Gordon 12 points. Jamal Murray. He's not a role player, but he's one of those people that with him, Jamal Murray and Jokic, you cannot guard. Even though OG just said no, Jack, I can guard him. But Contavious Caldwell Pope, Reggie Jackson didn't have a good game. Christian Braun, no big role player had a big game. Peyton Watson didn't have a big game. So it's we were able to contain all the role players, but let Jokic do whatever the hell he wants to, because that's fine. Because you can't win the game by yourself. You cannot win the game by yourself, especially if the Knicks are hitting on that type of level. You cannot beat them. You can't. But you know KCP was guarding Brunson, which was one of my matchups I was watching for because KCP is one of the best chasers in the league. I think he chased around Curry for an whole entire series, so he can chase and he can also defend very well. But it doesn't matter. We learned so much. Like Jalen Brunson can drive by anybody. Like, let's be honest here. That's why he's an NBA All Star. That's why he's an All Star starter, even though he isn't. But that's why he should be, is because he can drive by everybody, and he's just his skill is out of the park. So it's like, hey, KCP is a great defender, but it didn't look like it. I think first play he like crossed him up. Like, yo, like this is somebody who's not like you're not playing against Trey Young. Like you're playing against KCP. Um, but OG on Jamal, I like that because OG put him in jail. He locked him down. It's fun. I mean, his way of just moving off the ball and just I would talk about it later and how ridiculous he is. Um, but Gordon is their only non-spacer, and they're able to use him so well, even though he's not a spacer, like in a dunker spot. But the Knicks were just leaving him open on a 3 point line, and he was single handedly like dropping the temperature in the stadium. I mean, in the arena, he was single handedly dropping the temperature, and it's like, yo, if you're not gonna be a threat, then Tom Thibodeau just said, oh, leave him open. We could double, like just leave him open. We can go crash the boards. We can just leave him open. But yeah. So my biggest thing was we gotta if we're gonna take one negative out of this game, it's you gotta keep these teams off the glass. You have to. I know iHeart, I know Mitch is in there, but if iHeart's still hurt, I think you gotta keep these guys off the glass. I don't know if iHeart was there, we would still yeah. Jokic would still be able to get those type of, put back layups, but I just I I just think that like you know, I think it would have helped with iHeart, but those putback layups were kind of harsh because you know, there's Precious wasn't boxing out and stuff like that. Sims wasn't boxing out, but that's just one negative you can take out of the game. But 13-point lead in the first 6 minutes was crazy because it didn't. I mean, yeah, I mean it was crazy. It was one of the most. It was one of the least expected things. Like if I was to turn on the game and I was to put my bingo card out and it said, "Oh, the Knicks are going to be like if a genie went up to me and said, "Oh, well, this Nuggets Knicks game, but the Knicks are going to be up by 13 points in the first 6 minutes." I'd be like, "Whoa!" Like I never expected that, especially if the Nuggets are not on a back to back and they've been on the road, so it's like hey, like you have no excuse. I know it's the end of their road trip and they want to go home, but you're playing the most famous arena. That's my thing. Like it shouldn't matter. You're playing the most famous arena. Like that should not matter to you. Like you're playing in like one of the best arenas in sports, if not the best. So I don't really know why you're being like this. Like, yo, you want to play. Like it doesn't matter if you're on the last day road trip, first day of your road trip, like middle of your road. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter, of course. But we couldn't miss. And I feel like the Knicks just couldn't miss. And it was at the point where Don DiVincenzo just faked the three, shot the three, and it just went in. It was like I knew every single shot. It felt like it was going to go in for the New York Knicks. When it didn't go in, it was like crazy. It was like, oh, what is happening? Like it was so much fun watching this team just make every single shot they put up. But fewest points the Nuggets have had in the first half this season. So I talked about all the offense, but the defense was beautiful. The defense was beautiful. Like just locked up the Nuggets. That's it. That's it. That's all I can say. Um, but Dante and Julius connection is amazing. Now that's one of those connections you look at because if you look at it closely, that's one of the best connections in the Knicks on the Knicks team. It's just Dante and Julius, and just he can just like throw a bullet to Dante and he can catch it and shoot. Beautiful. And or he can get doubled and he feels like a safety net is Dante Vincenzo. They just work so well together. They just work beautifully together. What a signing. I'm gonna keep saying this over and over again whenever I can. I'm gonna harp it. One of the best signings I think the Knicks have ever had is DiVincenzo. Well, obviously up there's Jalen Brunson, but DiVincenzo is also amazing. So um Jericho Sims needs to improve boxing out. If there's one thing that I want to say is he needs to improve boxing out. It's just constructive criticism here. He's going for blocks too much. I know he's very good at like getting these like big block games, but Can you box out one time? Like, you got to be able to keep these guys off the glass if you want to be a high quality center, and that's just improvement. I mean, he's young. He's still got stuff to improve on, like everybody. So I'm not really tripping about that. Um, yeah, this is the biggest deficit the Nuggets face in the first half this season. So the Knicks don't mess around here, and they come out there and they don't play with their food. Yes, I'm gonna say this again. Last game of the road trip. Oh, this is their this is the Nuggets down game. Oh, let's eat. Let's not play with our food. But again, I don't understand that. You're playing the most famous arena, but I'm gonna just have the narrative like that. They took care of the food. They didn't play with their food, and that's what they did. Um, OG's ridiculous, and the way he can just get in the passing lanes, it's so beautiful to watch. The way he impacts the game, in such a beautiful way. It's so nice to watch. Just the way he can stunt and recover, just the way he can just get in the passing lanes, and he had a steal on Jokic or a steal on like Murray. Like he was 6 steals, 26 points. Done. Don't even need to say anything. 6 steals, 26 points. Don't even need to say anything. Like that's beautiful. That's insane. Like he's a professional He puts the professional in professional basketball players. Some players put the professional in professional basketball player. So and he's one of them. He's just professional. He just shows up at work. He can just play defense at a high level and he can shoot the three ball. So it's been like a glove, and there's no like fluke that the Knicks are 11-2 when OG Anunoby has played. Like it's not a fluke. It's not a fluke. Like OG Anunoby is fitting this team like a glove, and it's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to see OG Anunoby just be able to just get into his role. He was having so much fun. He was smiling. Like I don't know if he really wanted to be like this, high scorer, even though he was today, but he just like wants to be a winner. And I feel like that's like kind of his like, mantra. Like I want to be a winner. Like I want to play for a winner. Raptors weren't a winner when he was on that team for the last year. Not saying that he was on a championship team, but last year, like this year, Raptors are not a championship team, so he wants to win, and that's why New York comes in and swoops him because he's a winner, and that's what he does best. Now, there's one play that I love when they get OG downhill. I know OG doesn't have the tightest of handles, but when OG goes downhill, and they can run this play where it's a handoff with iHeart, not a iHeart didn't play it. Precious and OG, where they can run a handoff, and OG can just get downhill, use his body, which I mean he's built. I see him in person, bro. Like, yo, like he's big and built. Like, hard to guard him when he gets downhill. It's just how does he get downhill? Because he doesn't have the handle. But it's like trying to find easier ways to get him downhill, and that's definitely one. To do dribble handoff with Precious. Precious nails a good screen, and then it's just downhill. It's 1-on-1 downhill, and I don't think anybody can. I don't think a lot of people can guard OG when it's 1-on-1 downhill. So that's a fun thing. It's a fun little wrinkle Thibs has in his offense, and I really do like it. It's a way to get him involved. It's a way they've gotten him involved. And the Nets game is just a new thing, and I just love it. I love watching him get downhill and just consistently just bullying defenders. And if that's what he's gonna make a career of off the dribble, that's it. You can be a 3-point shooter, just bully people off the dribble, and I mean, him with the second unit is crazy to me, but you know what? If you do trust in scoring, which Thibs does, I feel like trusts him scoring, I do like it. But I still have concerns about the bench. But it was good defense on the bench for the whole entire team. Like the team defense off the bench was beautiful. Um, everybody was just locking down on defense on the bench. It was just beautiful to watch, and they were getting in transition off those steals, which were one of the best things because the Knicks bench is not good when it comes to half court scoring. So when they are able to get in transition, is one of the greatest things because then you have Deuce and run in transition. Then you have like those players when they get in transition are unstoppable. But when they get in the half court offense, it gets a little bit too choppy for my liking, and it just ends up in like a contested shot. But if they can get those steals and get running, and they can play defense, that could be your defensive specialty lineup. If you're Thibodeau, like that could be something you look at as your defensive specialty lineup, and just bringing it out there when you need defense. But right now they need them. They need every single player, and they need them to step up offensively and defensively, and that's what they did today. shout the bench, shout the starting lineup. Not saying the starting lineup didn't show up off defensively, but the bench was definitely just glaring. How they showed up offensively. I mean, look at how stacked personnel wise his bench is. Deuce, Quentin Grimes, Josh Hart, OG, and Precious. Like those 5 players are all very good defenders. And you might be thinking, oh, Jack, why is Precious this good defender? Like, because he can switch. He can switch. It's just switching 1 through 5. Like, it's so much fun watching this team play defense. But that's it. Have a nice day, and let's go Knicks. Beat the defending champions, and subscribe and turn on post notifications, and also add our auto download function on Spotify. Peace out. Let's go.